So I am really big on being mindful and staying in the moment of each race. So before each race, I usually do visualization beforehand, and so I kind of know like what I want out of that race and the process to get to the end, and not going above like beyond that process or thinking about what has happened in the past.
All right, welcome to the How We Live podcast. I am Patrick Van Horn. Joining me is Elise Heinold, who is a Live Global Marketing Specialist. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Patrick. It's nice to be back on the podcast. I was lucky enough to join you once this summer,
Yes.
and always a good time.
Always a good time. I know that you compete. You have competed in mountain bike races, I think, haven't you?
Unfortunately, you have heard wrong. I did do one cyclocross race in my life. That's my nod to racing.
All right, so a cyclocross race. Have you ever done a triathlon? Have you ever thought about doing a triathlon?
I can't say that I have.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's very tough.
I have done a duathlon, run, bike, run.
Yep.
So I've done that. I've done a couple of those. Really, really tough. And the reason I did those is because I'm terrified of swimming.
Mm-hmm.
We have as a guest today on the How We Live podcast, Tamara Gorman, Live Elite Ambassador. How are you?
I'm very good. It's good to be with you guys.
It's great to have you here. You are one of only 3 women to ever win both a Junior World Triathlon Championship and the U23 World Triathlon Championship, and you're coming to us via Zoom there from the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. How did you begin with triathlon? What led you to say, this is what I'm going to do? How old were you?
You know, I was 14 when I got into the sport. I was 4 years old when I started swimming. So that was a family activity that we would do. My dad was a swimmer. I started running in middle school, and my coach reached out to me and said, hey, you should really try triathlon because you're a pretty great swimmer and an okay runner. So, I went out and to Des Moines, Iowa, where she lives, and joined their team and got started that way. Yeah.
At that point, were you riding bicycles?
Yeah, had you already been riding, either competitively or just for fun?
So the way that I got into cycling, I was, so my family was super active growing up, and I was just 4 years old when I was introduced to a bike. And I would go out in the driveway trying to keep up with my brother. And I had training wheels on my bike. And so I got into cycling that way. And then competitively, just through triathlon, I was able to kind of grow and grow into my cycling capabilities.
Were you always stronger at cycling, or stronger at swimming, or stronger at running? Because that's the eternal question. What are you worst at in your sport? What's the thing you're weakest at and always most concerned with?
Yeah, so I've always been a super strong swimmer as I started that first, and then obviously I started running second. So that seems to be pretty one of my strongest. But biking is actually my weakest point in the triathlon, and it's something that I am focusing on in really growing at and trying everything that I can to do to grow and become a better athlete on the bike.
You are there at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs because you're training for the Olympics. You're hoping to make the 2020 Tokyo Games. So tell us about the training there, what you're doing, and then let's get into the recovery from the injury. So tell us typically what you would be doing training for the triathlon.
Yeah, so here at the training center, I have a tremendous amount of support, ranging from my coaches to facilities like strength training facilities to a triathlon room dedicated to just triathletes. I have the swimming pool here and tons of people that surround me who support me. So that's like number one, and super awesome to be able to take part in. But a training day is I'll wake up, get a little breakfast, go to the pool, swim from 7:30 to 9. So usually I swim 5 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, an hour and a half to 2 hours each time. Then sometimes hop on the bike for an hour to 2 hours, just depends on the day. But sometimes go out for an easy coffee ride, or go do intervals, or go out on a group ride, which is super fun here. We always have the group ride on Saturday mornings. And I'm running 5 to 6 times a week when I'm healthy. And then I do strength on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it comes out to about 20 to 25 hours a week, but of all four things: swimming, biking, running, and strength.
I want to ask, a lot of the triathletes I've known in the past, they work and live at home, they're training alone. It's really interesting to me that you're there and you're almost working and training as a team with other people. How has that affected your training since you moved over to the Olympic Training Center?
Yeah, so I've been out here for about a year, and it really has had a huge impact on me, having that support system behind me to keep me going and to keep me on the right track. And just having those individuals to check in with every single day. And they ask me how training is going and how I'm feeling and how I'm recovering and all that sort of stuff. So that's been a tremendous help. And it really has been.
Injuries are a part of any athlete's life, and those are things that every athlete has to overcome. And you are just now recovering from an injury and surgery. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so about 10 days ago, I was had to get surgery on my foot. So I've had a fair amount of injuries throughout my career, but I feel as if I'm a little bit of a veteran to those injuries. So it's always about the comeback for me and coming back stronger than I was going in. For instance, most of my best competitions come after like a setback. So I find strength within this one that I can come out even stronger.
So if I understand right, you had a screw in your foot and you had to have surgery. You already had the screw in your foot from a previous injury years ago, and you had to have surgery to either remove or replace that screw now between a couple of bones.
Yep. So in 9 years ago, I had surgery on my foot in the navicular bone because there was a stress fracture in there. So I had ran on the stress fracture for about 3 months. And decided to get that screw put in there due to just impact later down the road. They had to go back inside the navicular bone and remove that screw just due to my body rejecting it after being in there for 9 years. It just kept bothering me after I would go out and try and bring my mileage up. So yeah, they went in there and removed it, and hopefully it'll all be better now.
And we saw on your Instagram feed yesterday, I think you're already running. You're already running on it.
Yeah, I am. It's amazing to me. It's amazing what the body can do and overcome. And it's a lot, I feel, about mindset and having a positive outlook on things. And also like nutrition is huge, feeding your body the right food so it can grow quickly and recover quickly. And those are the two things that I think are huge for recovery and speeding up the process.
Do you have a favorite recovery snack?
I really like a yogurt with granola and mixed berries in there. I think that's a good one.
That's a solid snack.
I'm assuming at the Olympic Training Center you eat pretty well. I mean, you obviously it's a good diet, but if you want to have granola and yogurt late at night, you can go do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They have there are world-class chefs here, and everything you could ever imagine. And it's all super healthy, and there's a good variety and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So making the Olympic triathlon team for this year, what do you have to do? You have to qualify at some point. So what do you have to do now?
Yep. So in the middle of May, we'll have our second Olympic qualification event. Our first one was in Tokyo at the end of last July, and one girl has qualified. So there's 2 more spots left. So in Yokohama, the WTS race there in May, we'll all be competing. All of us U.S. women will go on the start line, and the first girl who crosses the line will make the team from the U.S. And then one other spot is discretionary, so they'll just choose based off of their decision.
Now, in Yokohama last year, I was looking back at your record. In Yokohama last year, you had a really good time. In fact, in Yokohama in 2019, if I've got this right, you beat the time of the gold medalist in the 2016 Olympics. The U.S. Racer was Gwen Jorgensen. I do my homework here. Gwen Jorgensen. Her time in the Rio Olympics was 1:56.16. A year ago in Yokohama, you were 1:55.35. I don't know if you knew that, but you beat her time.
Yeah. No, it is amazing how fast our sport is developing and growing, and it's like so competitive with the girls. It's full on from the start. And I mean, I'm sure if Gwen would have been in that race, she would have been winning it by margin. So she's one that I look up to a lot. Obviously, she's the gold medalist for the U.S. for the 2016 Olympics. But yeah, the racing is super fast now, and it's full on from the start.
All right, let's talk about the bikes.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the bikes. So you've been riding the Liv Langma and the Envy Liv, is that right?
Yeah, so I've been riding the Langma and the Envy Liv, and this year is the first time I got to ride the Envy Liv, and I love it. So,
can you tell us what are the different situations that you're riding those 2 bikes? When are you pulling out the Langma? When are you pulling out the Envy Liv?
Yeah, I feel super thankful to have the opportunity to be able to train on both of those bikes, because I think it's a luxury. So like if I go out and do like a hill, the Langma is super tailored toward like hill climbing, and it's a lighter bike. So yeah, I use the Langma if I'm going out and if I'm doing intervals in the hills or out climbing. And if I'm going out to do more of a flat or technical workout, I'll grab the Envy Liv and go out on that, because it's more tailored toward like sprinting and yeah. So.
And you've just gotten the Envy Liv relatively recently. Have you used it in competition yet?
I haven't got to race on the Envy Liv yet. But I do look forward to racing on that, because I'll use that one probably first at my first race, and it feels super fast. I went out before I had surgery on a 4-hour ride, and I just felt amazing on it.
Awesome.
You did a race recently. I guess it would have been the last race you did before your surgery, and that was the mixed relay. The U.S. team placed 3rd in this mixed relay, and that was in Tokyo. The mixed relay sounds like that's going to be an Olympic event this year for the first time. That sounds a little chaotic. Can you describe what that is, the mixed relay?
Yeah. So the mixed relay is going to be super fun. I feel it's such a spectator-friendly event, and that you can tell that the spectators are just so into it during the race. And you can feel that as an athlete too, so that's super awesome. But I feel it's just going to be, so the mixed team relay is 2 girls and then 2 boys who race, and the women go first. So it's a woman, a male, a woman, and then a male, and yeah, finish off all together. Like it's such a team. It's such a team aspect to it.
And you're going full tilt boogie when you do this because you're swimming. What's the distances? It's like 800 meters swim. I think that's what it is. And then you come out of the water and you have to do, how far is the bike ride on that?
Yeah, so we swim about a 300. So it's only a 20-minute race for each person.
Okay.
Yeah. So we swim a 300, and then we bike 7 to 8K, and then we run a K to 2K. And so it's full on from the start, and you're sprinting, and it's just like in that state where you just feel like if you go any harder, you might die. But at the end, you're definitely on the ground and pretty tired.
Wow, that's fast. I mean, I imagine knowing it's such a short race that you really must put it all out there, right?
Yeah, it really is. And then obviously, like, you have your teammate because it's more of a team sport. So you want to do so well for not only yourself and your country, but also for your teammates. So there's just a whole nother aspect to it, I feel.
And, when you're talking about just full out like that, is there anything that's going through your mind when you compete, whether it's in the mixed relay or just a regular race, or are you just thinking in the middle of that race, faster, 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 faster? What are you thinking about?
Yeah. So I am really big on being mindful and staying in the moment of each race. So before each race, I usually do visualization beforehand. And so I kind of know like what I want out of that race and the process to get to the end, and not going above, like, beyond that process, or thinking about what has happened in the past. So I set myself little goals throughout the race. So that may be something so simple as the gun goes off, and what am I going to do from that start to the first buoy? Set myself little goals, and as I tick off those goals throughout the race, then I know that I will hopefully reach the end goal that I have.
What do you remember about your very first bike ride? What do you remember your first bike ride, and what do you remember about it?
Yeah, I have a really vivid memory on one of my first training camps as like a triathlete, as a junior. I was out, and my coach, we were out on like a 60-mile bike ride. And I had no idea of how far we had gone or anything like that. Cause I didn't have anything on my bike. I just had my bike and myself, and then my teammates. And I just remember I got so hungry and tired and I was like, Coach, when are we going to be done? But the ride just kept going on and on and on. And finally we were at the end, but, that's like a memory that really sticks out to me on one of my first like training rides.
What's the worst bike ride you ever had? The worst bike ride. I know that's a terrible question to ask, but do you remember
no bad days on a bike, Patrick?
That's right.
Come on.
Right. There's only varying degrees. That's what we always say, is that I've never had a bad bike ride in my life, just varying degrees of good ones. But have you had a really bad day on the bike, and what was it?
Oh gosh. I think the one that sticks out the most is during a race. It was in 2018. I just wasn't having the greatest day, and my leg just didn't seem to be having like the power that I would have liked or pleased to have. And I just was getting dropped from every pack. And yeah, so that is probably the worst memory that I have on my bike. But I seem to like find the positive in that, I guess, and use that as a learning lesson and a way to grow and become like a better cyclist. So although it was a horrible day or maybe a bad bike ride, I got to see my weaknesses and grow from that and use that in my training rides, and hopefully become a better athlete from it.
I imagine at the Olympic Training Center, I guess you get bike fits, I would presume. Is that correct?
Yeah. So these bikes that I have, the Envy Live and the Langma, they were actually sent to, I work with Gorman. He lives in Boulder, so that's only about an hour away. So I had those bikes sent there, and he built them all up for me perfectly, and then we got them all dialed into exactly how I needed for fitting wise. So he is super knowledgeable and got them all fitted out for me.
What were some of the specific changes, or what were some things in particular to your bike that you had to do to have it ready for yourself?
Yeah, so specifically, so the live bikes are obviously made for women and built by women and tested on women. So that's like, first of all, great. And just like awesome to be able to get on a bike like that and feel that feeling. But we do enjoy cutting the stem and making it more aero and getting me in more of a aggressive fit style, as maybe you would say. So we cut the stem and bring the bars down so I'm not upright. And then, we get the seat up to the right length and make sure I'm able to put as much power as I can out and be comfortable doing so, because that's huge, I think, on your bike, because sometimes we go out for four hours, and if you're not comfortable on your bike, well, it's not going to be too fun. So it won't be a fun bike ride.
Your specialty is the Olympic distance as well as the sprint distance. Do you want to do a half Ironman or an Ironman? Is that a goal?
It is a goal of mine, and it seems super crazy to say. But yeah, it's something that I really want to do later in my career. Right now, obviously, I'm focusing on this Olympic cycle and then the next one for sure. But I think I'll dabble in after this into maybe a 70.3 or 2. And then hopefully after a little time goes by, I'll have those extra miles in my leg to be able to do an Ironman. And it would be amazing to be able to say that you did that and give so much credit to those people.
I saw this great photo again on your Instagram feed, and I'm not stalking you. I just was researching this, but I saw this great photo, I think, when you won the U23 World Championship. You're spraying the champagne. That must have just been an incredible feeling when you were coming in at the end and you knew you were going to cross that finish line, and you knew you were first. You knew you were world champ.
Yeah, that's a feeling like no other. And for me, it came twice. So that is pretty something special to me. And not everyone sees what goes on behind and how much work is put into that, and how much you maybe have to invest in yourself to have those days work out like that. But when they do, it's the best feeling ever. And it's something, like I said, it's so special, and I love it so much. So I hope many more days come like that.
So you are a junior world champion. You're a U23 world champion. Can you visualize yourself being an Olympic champion? Can you see that? Do you do that visualization thing where you're stepping up on that top step?
I do. I can see myself someday being an Olympic champion. I think it will take time and growth. And in our sport, it's a lot of the girls are peaking when they're older. If you look at I feel young within our sport, but you can never count someone out. So I'm 23 years old, and the best in our sport are in their high 20s or 30s. So I feel I just want to focus on growing and getting better every day. And if I do that, I hope it will come.
I think it will.
I do too.
Yeah. We believe you will reach that top step of the Olympics, if not in 2020, maybe 2024.
That's so nice of you.
Tamara, thank you very much. This was awesome. It was a great opportunity for us to meet you and get to know you. And I think the folks who listen to and watch the How We Live podcast will like it too. Best of luck to you. Continue healing, and good luck in Yokohama. to make the Olympic team.
Thank you so much. Bye.